Tonight on Countdown to Green, we take a look back at where all the chips fell from Las Vegas. We talk with the folks over at Elliott Sadler Esports. And we take a look at how you're racing at home with the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
'Cause we're invincible.
Hello everyone and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. This is Countdown to Green presented by Wendy's. I'm your host Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and joining me as always we have Alan Cavanna and we have Evan Pasoko also joining us. What a lovely surprise.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is different. Alan joined a little bit earlier. I'm going to get all my Blake impressions out of the way, but happy to be here with you too. I got my biggie bag earlier today with the Coke, so we're ready to rock.
Yeah, we are well fueled thanks to Wendy's. Much appreciated. And just great to be here, Camille. Tonight we're going to the track. Too Tough to Tame. The track, the Lady in Black. It's got all these nicknames because it's earned it. Great racing. Throwback night. We're going to see a lot of cool paint schemes. This is always an awesome, awesome event.
It is always an awesome event. I'm looking forward to it, especially after last year and how that ended. But before we get into Darlington, we have to talk about Las Vegas and take a look back.
Field in the hands of the 23 Toyota of Keegan Leahy as we say, let's go racing in Vegas. Couple of cars up and into the outside wall, and a wrong way around is Garrett Lowe. Not what that Jim Beaver Esports 15 wanted. Casey took a shot from Dylan Duvall behind, and it moved him up just enough to tag the 34 of Alan Bose. He went sideways, and then it was really on from there. Bowden braked, car behind him did not. He got spun around, not the position that Bowden wanted to be in. Michael Conti timed it to a T. Mike Conti looks like maybe the best we've seen him in quite some time here in 2023. The 18's into the outside wall, and the 77 of Doucette goes with them. Malik Ray went to the pit lane this time out of the yellow flag. You can see the first touch there. There's the first save, and then when they run out of real estate, there's where he's got to save it again as both he and Bowden go all the way through the grass, no yellow, and then he's got to blend back up without hitting anybody else. Looking for the white flag. There's contact on the back straightaway. No yellow yet. Conti's into the tri-oval. This race is official. Conti gonna go to lead the last 69 laps. He's under power off of turn 4, and Michael Conti wins at Las Vegas. Well, Michael Conti became the second repeat winner this season, and we are halfway through the regular season. 7 down, 7 to go as we take a look at what the playoff standings look like out of Las Vegas. And guys, we got Michael Conti and Bobby Zelensky, the multi-time race winners at the top. Other race winners including Tucker Minter, Casey Kerwin, and Steven Wilson. And this conversation about that top 10 bubble going to get more and more interesting as we work through the weeks. You got big names like Keegan Leahy and Dylan Duvall on the bubble. And not only will we be talking about the battle to be in the top 10, we'll be talking about the battle to stay in this series. The top 20 relegation bubble is always such a big story. We'll be talking more about that later tonight and over the course of these, I think, next 11 weeks still.
Yeah, going to be good on the driver's side. On the owner's side, the team side, always still a lot of pride there on the line. Team Dylan Esports really getting that gap going after some good runs lately. But look a little further down. Rise Esports with Jimmy Mullis getting a 4th in Darlington and 4th in Vegas, moving up a little bit. And also FGR Excel, Joe Graff Jr.'s team, moving up 4 spots after a good run from Garrett Mittens. So a lot of pride there, a lot of racing still to be done on the team side of things. There's money and a trophy on the line on that side too, guys.
Yeah, money and trophy as well. But speaking of pride, I feel like Conti probably has a lot of pride after Las Vegas. So let's start with your thoughts, Alan. What do you think of how Las Vegas went?
Yeah, well, not only pride, but Michael Conti should have a lot of good feelings about winning the championship this season. I really do think after getting yet another win at a track like Las Vegas, he vaults himself into the championship favorite. I've been saying it the whole time. He's going out like Kevin Harvick. We know it's Michael Conti's last year. Harvick performing in the real world. Michael Conti doing the same thing here in the Coke Series. I just like where he's winning. Las Vegas, kind of like Homestead, where he won earlier this year. In Milwaukee, kind of like Phoenix. Those are the last two races of the season. Michael Conti is your championship favorite right now.
And you, Evan, what were your thoughts coming out? Do you feel Michael Conti is the championship favorite right now?
Well, I'm not going to knock that take at all, right? I think I even said it on the broadcast that this may be the best we've seen Conti in quite some time, but don't think it's going to be easy because every year we talk about the rookie class coming in. This year, 10 of our 40 drivers are true rookies, and a lot of them are right up in the mix. That may be one of the best rookie classes we've ever seen. You got the Team Dillon duo, Blake, that you had just talked about, or Blake had mentioned, I should say, for his pick here. He had just talked about them being at the top of the team standings. They're tied for third. True rookies. Michael Cozy Jr., true rookie for Front Row Motorsports. He's in fifth. So you've got a lot of really good rookies, not just hanging out, but making noise. There's more rookies in the top 5 than none.
Yeah, I feel like, it's not easy coming in to a series as a rookie and really making waves. And we're really lucky to actually see that happening this year. Now, speaking of relegation, you brought it up. There's a lot going on. I think a lot of people are thinking about what is happening. Why don't we give you a little bit of a refresher, but first also look at the schedule and some updates to the schedule, right, Alan?
Yeah, there's some news there on the schedule. You're looking at last year's race at Chicago. This is important because Chicago is back on the schedule. It's actually going to replace what was Watkins Glen. This is significant because the Chicago Street Circuit will race here in the Coke Series just before the Cup Series makes its debut. Such a cool connection, right? This Chicago Street Circuit exists because of iRacing, because of all the work they were able to do and lay out this track. So it's only right the Coke Series races there once again, June 27th, again, replacing Watkins Glen. That'll be cool to set up the big show once the Cup guys go there weekend.
You got that IRL feel, you got that sim feel lining up. This is what we do in this series. This is what we do. But like I said, relegation is also a huge part of it. So Evan, take us through that process.
Yeah, I always say year in, year out, right? This relegation, I think, is the best thing about this series. You can't get a paid gig. You're not here for 3-year contract, a 5-year ride. You have to race in every single season through that road to pro ladder, right? It all starts in the qualifying series. That'll get you up to, if you can, the contender series, which is really the big off-season story, right? The top 20 from that qualifying series and the bottom 20 from the Coke series mix in the off-season through the contender series, try to qualify back in. If you are on the grid of 40 drivers right now, you do not want to have to think about the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series because you got to requalify right back in. You want to stay above that red cut line inside and make sure that you keep your position on the grid. And this is going to be something that we'll talk about through the rest of the regular season and throughout the playoffs as well, right? If you don't make the playoffs, you need to be focused on top 20. Vincent -3, -5, -7, right? A lot of single digit buffers right below that 20th spot. Again, it's kind of the battle within the championship battle, and that's going to be something that, again, applies to not only these 7 races to go in the regular season, but all 11 races left this year.
11 races, that's a lot of races to make some room, but also we are starting to narrow it down, definitely for who's probably securing their spot for next year as well. A lot going through the drivers' minds, and you know what? We have some drivers that we got to check in with, the Elliott Sadler esports, racers. Let's go.
Yeah, being with a new team in 2023, it's a big honor to drive for Elliott Sadler Esports. I get along with everybody really well over there. They've treated me extremely kind and been really professional, and we all share the same goals for the season. And yeah, I'm just ready for a fresh new start, new year, and ready to get rolling.
what brought me to Ilya Sadler in 2023 is having people involved in the series is a very big source of motivation for me, and I hope to accomplish. I don't know, getting into the chase is pretty much a goal of mine, and if we can't, then just bring out the best results every track, every race we can.
I think to get my first win in the Coke Series, everything's got to go right. There's no easy wins, not really a lot of people lucky in the wins in the series. You got to be in the right spots at the right time. I do have a win at the Top Series a long time ago, but it's way harder now in the Coke Series. And like I said, everything's got to go perfect. You got to be up front, qualify up front, run up front, and hopefully everything falls your way towards the end. Closing out the Contender Series with a win just shows I can still do it. I made a lot of changes in the last year or so, and to compete at a high level like the Contender Series was reassuring to myself, like I said, that I can still win, dominate, and lead a lot of laps. I've been doing this for a long time, and like I said, I don't feel like I've lost any over the years. So
I would say that my biggest rival in the series is probably Cody Bias, my ESC teammate, just because I think me and him are very, very, very similar on speed and how we kind of approach races. So I would say that he is my biggest rival.
Fortunately for me, my biggest rival, I guess, would be all 39 of them. I'm pretty much one of the cleaner drivers in the series. Like I said, just all 39 of them are really, really good at what they do. It's hard to bet against the defending champion, Casey Kerwin. Him and I worked pretty close together as well on other things. So I know if he's running up front that I should be able to do it as well, or else I have to reevaluate what I'm doing and try to just work that much harder to get to his level. But there's so many guys towards the top that are really good. To name a few, it's just hard to do at this point. But definitely got to go after the defending champ, Casey. I know he'll always be up front, never makes many mistakes, it seems like, and he's always extremely fast. So he's definitely one to try to beat this year.
The race I have circled in my calendar for this year is probably Gateway, because last year, even though the results didn't really pan out, I felt like it suited my driving the most, and I was very quick in the practice races we've had before the actual Coke race last season, so probably Gateway if I were to say a race.
My secret to victory for the season is definitely just staying true to my driving style. I've always been more calculated, more smooth. I don't make too many mistakes, and if I can qualify well throughout the year, I feel like I can be a real threat each and every week. So my secret's just staying true to who I am, and hopefully it pays off.
Keeping it smooth and easy going, slow and steady wins the race. But I feel like all the drivers are really fast, so it doesn't really apply.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take your own approach to it, and they could use a little more success, but hey, good season for them.
Definitely. And you know what? It's been a lovely time here on Countdown to Green, because you know what I'm going to say, Alan. I see you. Evan, you probably hear me talk about it. It's Logitech Tweet Your Rigs. This is from us, where we get to see your rigs at home. And our first one is from Ian. Ian, this is really a comfy chair and a new chair. I don't think we've seen this before.
Yeah, we've seen this a little before, but you know, that chair is something of an upgrade, and it's right near a beautiful window. You can look out if you get distracted, but I think, you know, it's a bit of an upgrade. Got that upgrade, so not too bad, Ian. You know, that's all you need is a desk.
That one looked like a camping chair. Yeah, that was a weird combo. Frito going all the way here. The triple monitors. His cable management looks equally as poor as mine, but I'm not going to judge. And he's got like, what, a 5-point harness in case he ends up off the racetrack. So listen, he's committed to the bit. I'm here for it.
I like it.
Yeah, and you know what? You could just use those wires too to secure you in. You're just all secured up. I love it. Our next one is from Ricky Harden.
Yeah,
and
wow. I like this one. That is sweet and clean. That's got the Sparco seat, direct drive wheel, I'm told, on that as well. This is just a good looking setup with the 4 monitors. You know, we saw the cable management before. This one, the complete opposite. This is sweet and clean. Like it, Ricky. Good job.
That setup's what mine
needs to
thinks
take a
it
tip from
is.
Ricky.
Yeah, we'll have him talk. Ricky's a good guy. We got Daniel set up. Look, this is like my day one iRacing setup. It's all you need. You got your desk, you got a computer monitor, you got a wheel. That's all it takes to get started. That'll do the trick. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. He could go and beat Ricky in a race on iRacing. It doesn't take the 4 screens. You need the basic setup, and Daniel's got it started.
Hey, you got to start somewhere. I like that one. And speaking of, starting somewhere, this is really nice too. Look at that. The headrest, that looks like a real racing seat out of a race car. You see a little, what was that, metal in there too? I like the steering wheel and all the stuff going on there. Good job, Mads. That's a good one.
And Mads could just, is that a guitar right there too, ready to play as you're driving?
And a bicycle if he wants to rage quit. You got to get out of it.
Guitar Hero for under yellow flags.
I like that one. Look at
this setup. Green roll cage is
Casey.
Is that like a 1990s sprint car? The green roll cage makes me think it's like Gravedigger or something, but that is a couple of authentic parts in that bad boy, and just a whole TV. No monitors, nothing fancy. Just put a whole TV in the thing.
Evan thinks of Gravedigger. He's mixing his worlds here. I like this. And look at this one, the McConey Setup Shop. This is a beauty right here. That's an official sponsor of the Coke Series here. And it's just the 3 monitors going. What is that? Jeff Gordon art up there on the wall. Not my driver. Or maybe that's Willie B up there. I think I can see the Exalta up there. So nice and clean, and nice to have the support, of course, from everyone who loves this series.
And it's nice to have your support at home as well. Be sure to send us your rigs using the hashtag eNASCAR and tagging iRacing. Now, we were talking about IRL and sim racing meeting up later this year with the Chicago Street Race, but we also have a lot of that going out throughout the series. I feel like we heard of the Kansas City Pioneers. We're at Kansas Speedway showing all of their sim magic to fans. I love this.
Yeah, that's Derek Justice out there showing fans how to do it. But there's 10 sims that go to every single NASCAR race. So if you are a NASCAR fan, you go out there. Derek Justice trying to get his IRL on right there, changing the tire. Raja Caruth came out to the setup to show everybody how it's done. It's cool. That's his teammate right there. Daniel Dye, I believe. Carson Hocevar. To see the real world drivers who we know compete in this series come out to the setups out here every week. It's so neat, Evan.
Yeah, I was able to check the rig out at Phoenix last fall, and I did not put a lap time down because, of course, our eNASCAR champion was with us. I did not want to embarrass myself. So it's cool that the Kansas City Pioneers were out there. You see Mamba Smith from Rise Esports maybe doing some recruiting, talking to the Pioneers guys. But when I go to the race in Nashville in a couple weeks, I'm going to hope none of our Coke Series drivers are there, and then I'll toss a lap out. But if they're there, I'm not in the business of getting embarrassed.
Derek and Wyatt there looking cool, walking away from the camera, showing everybody how it's done. I want you to put a lap out there, Evan. Come on. You can show it. Don't be too embarrassed.
Yeah, come on. I believe in you. We
we'll
believe in you, Evan. You can do it.
Well,
the whole point of that. The whole point of that is, well, Evan.
At IMS, so I've done good there. But when there's pros in the mix, that's just a different story.
All right. Well, while Evan stays away from, putting some times on those sims IRL, let's first talk about Darlington. We have to talk about some of the trends that we see here that could kind of give us a clue into what to expect for the night. Alex?
Yeah, let's not forget we're going to the Lady in Black tonight. This is the earliest we've ever raced there here in the Coke Series since 2013. This is one of 5 tracks that's been on the Coke Series schedule every single year. You got to be there at Darlington. Only 2 drivers have ever won from the pole at Darlington. Remember that for qualifying tonight. And it was a long time ago. 2 former champs, 2012 Ray Alfala, 2013 Nick Ottinger, who will race tonight, but the pole not so great maybe. Since 2013, this race has averaged only 3 cautions per race. Now, you'll see a lot of this on your screen here. That's just getting the Darlington stripe. You can scrape the wall, not necessarily a caution, so not many cautions. And the only race that went 0 cautions at Darlington was back in 2018, but still not many pound for pound. All but 1 race winner has made or been in the playoffs. 4 of the 6 race winners have made the championship 4. So big deal. Good, talented drivers tend to win here and then have success later on. 7 of the last 9 years, this was the final race the Darlington winner won that season. So maybe some good news, bad news. Remember Bobby Z, who won here, and then the next 3 races, though, the rest of the year didn't go so well for Bobby Z. So I have that in the back of your mind if you get that win. And only 5 of the 14 race winners have led the most laps. So leading the most laps tonight, maybe not the best thing if you look at the numbers. And 2 of the winners never went on to win again in the season. So just things to think about as we look at some of these numbers if you win tonight at Darlington. But let's not forget, a win is a win, nearly guarantees you a playoff spot. So you want to do it tonight, I promise you.
Yeah, they definitely want to, but they also want to know what to expect on the track itself. Evan, give us all the deets.
Well, of course, it's a historic racetrack here in the service because we've raced here every year. We all know the story about Darlington Raceway. Built on an old farm in rural South Carolina, 1.37 miles in length. It's got that unique shape courtesy of that middle pond off of turn 4 that's still there, progressively banked at 23 to 25 degrees. It's going to look really wide, the racetrack, though, but the drivers are going to stay way up top to the fence. You'll see that as we take a lap around Darlington with Michael Conti, and a couple of interesting things to watch here. First, a little bit of a shallow entry, then you're going to go right on the fence, Alan, through the center. You got to feather the throttle, 60-ish% throttle there as he comes through the corners. 5th gear all the way through 1 and 2, but Mike Conti, in fact, off into 3, downshift into turn 4. Watch it.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So we know it's going to get interesting. And what's also interesting tonight is we're throwing it back. There's some retro paints happening. It's always exciting when we get to actually see the paints because we don't do that every Countdown to Green presented by Wendy's. But here they are. Let's take a look at some of these throwbacks.
This one's important because it's representing the state of South Carolina. Every different quarter panel has a different driver on there, like Cale Yarbrough, Sam R., David Pearson, Bud Moore, all the legends that came out of South Carolina represented by Jimmy Mullis tonight. Very cool. Hard to see at speed, though.
Now, this is a little more subtle.
Yeah, Caden Honeycutt, look at the background. You have to pay attention, but NASCAR fans are font fans. Number font is a huge thing in NASCAR, and the RFK team throwing it back to that old school number 17 font on Caden's car tonight.
This one will be popular. Kevin King in the 88 Dale Jr. throwback. That used to say AMP back in the day, that green color. This was so huge back in 2008. And down there on the quarter panel, it says DMP, Dirty Mo Posse. That is the league they all race together. Very cool throwback there.
Couple of real life throwbacks. How about a sim throwback? Mike Conti throwing it back to himself. He's on the retirement tour and celebrating his career, but this is a bit of a deep cut for the 2011 LCQC, the Landon Castle Qualifying Challenge. It at the time was one of the biggest events in sim racing. Landon brought it back a couple of years ago. That was really cool. So an old school Conti paint for him tonight.
Another throwback to himself. Garrett Lowe is throwing back to 2017. That is his Bandolero car. You see the stripes there, really representative of how he came to racing and start racing back when he was a younger man on the little tracks out in North Carolina. Very cool, those Bando cars. So he's throwing back to himself. Not bad, Garrett.
You're getting somewhere, right, when you can throw it back to yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. The conversation is over. Donovan Strauss, 92. Williams F1 car listed. It's so cool. Williams Esports being in the series, their presence in other aspects of sim racing, and of course, with their real life formula history. But man, is that a good looking race car. You can't beat it. That's it.
You cannot beat it. Another one, get to throw him back to himself. We know Tony Kanaan is an owner now. Well, he gets to have his own throwback, that open wheel car, the 711 for Parker White. Very cool when you get to throw back to your owner. Maybe a little, a few brownie points if you win in that in his car.
Yeah, just more iconic colors, right? Looks so good. And let's bring it back to 2008 again. This time, Bobby Z in the 18 Interstate Batteries Toyota. That's Kyle Busch's 2008 Coke Zero 400 win. So iconic. Give me that car every single week of the series. And more 2008. How about another throwback to Kyle Busch? This time his Richmond paint scheme. Malik and the Jim Beaver team throwing it back to that 18 car. A lot of 2008 paints.
Yeah, Kyle Busch. Wait, I want to compare something for a second. We saw Kyle Busch 2008, that last one, and Kevin King in the Dale Jr. car. I want to see those again. Yeah, this reminds me of something. Look on the bumper of that number 7 car. It says, oh, he turned him. Why does it say that? Yes, this was Richmond. This was a huge moment in NASCAR history. Kyle Busch turned Dale Jr. in the final laps at Richmond, got more boos than you would ever want to hear at any sporting event. Just a great moment. When you turn Mr. Popular, you become the villain, and Kyle Busch embraced it. Big moment in NASCAR history. Maybe we see that tonight with the 7 car between Malik and Kevin King. That'd be fun.
Ooh, that would be fun. A little drama coming out tonight. But you know what? Let's just start the drama right now because we are competitive group amongst us 3. Well, Evan, you're standing in for Blake. Let's talk about our picks for Darlington. Evan, you are a guest. Let's see who Blake chose.
He's doing so bad in the points, he couldn't even show up. It makes me do his dirty work for him at the very bottom. All right, Blake, let's see. Who are you going with tonight? And I'll see if I can justify it or not. And there you have it. All right. Not the obvious, but I don't dislike the pick. Jordy Lopez Jr. Blake says he's going to win it for him. I don't hate it. Jordy's had a lot of good moments this year. We talked earlier about how good Team Dillon Esports has been. I don't hate it. So I know Blake bailed and threw me to the wolves, but maybe I'll be the good luck charm and bring his pick some luck. Let's see if Jordy can do it.
Yeah, we'll see if he can do it. I'm going with experience. I'm on a streak of 2 win picks in a row. This is like the Undertaker at WrestleMania. I'm going to continue it tonight with the streak because Keegan Leahy is going to win tonight. He is a former champ. He has won this race before. And this is the type of track and race that goes to those former champions and former winners. Keegan Leahy gets it done tonight. And I continue my streak, Camille. I'm getting tired. Getting tired from being so far out ahead of you guys.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to catch up because guess what? I picked the fellow Canadian as well, Keegan Leahy.
Oh!
I'm really feeling it. Oh, Canada. Yes. Oh, my gosh. He is going to do it. And I'll just be a little bit closer to you, Alan. A little bit.
Well, we'll be farther away from Blake at least. Poor guy. If he ever comes back. I
know, Evan, you may have to come back for the next show because
if it was up to me, I would have picked a Canadian. I would have been in with you, but I got to justify Blake's pick, but I like it.
All right. Well, Blake has your blessing. And you know what, Alan? If Keegan doesn't do it, well, guess what? You're going down with me.
Yeah.
How about that? Well, that's it for us now. But before we go, let's just take a quick look at practice. Oh, nice throwback here.
Is that Harvick? Is that Harvick-ish? Is that what I'm looking at? Maybe the producer.
Looks like 05. Yeah, 05 Kevin Harvick tonight for Derek Bordeaux.
I like it. I see a 66. Is that the other 7-Eleven car for Tony Kanaan, if I believe so? Looking good there. I just love Throwback weekend. I was at Darlington for the Cup Series weekend. And the Throwback, if you remember Willie B, William Byron, friend of here, owner on here, won the race. So maybe a Throwback can get the win tonight, guys.
All right. Well, I am looking forward to Darlington. How about you two? What are you most looking forward to?
The tires. I mean, this place eats up tires. It's going to be on the best drivers to save those tires, and pit strategy will be big.
Hey, it's driver versus racetrack, right? Sure, you're out there with 39 other racers, but I mean, this is a tough place. It is a fun race. You'll be able to visually see it as a fan tuning in. These drivers struggling to nail the corner every time. It is such a fun place. There's a reason we come to Darlington every single year, and we'll continue to do so, I think, until the racetrack is standing. There's no reason we shouldn't ever be at Darlington. This is one of the best races of the calendar. You're going to want to make sure you're tuned in.
Well, I hope you are going to stay tuned because Darlington, the race is coming up right after these commercial breaks. Thank you so much for watching Countdown to Green presented by Wendy's, and we'll see you right after this.
I need to try it first.
There's your biggie bag. All that food for $5, that's my go-to.
Ooh, that's my ride or die.
Just like you and me. Bag boys. Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
You can always bet on Biggie. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag.
Here and now is when it matters most.
Heavy damage.
Not last month or last week or 48 laps ago when that bumper fell off.
He's done.
Here is where it must be left on the track. The anger, the hunger, the passion, and the drive to do whatever it takes to make it across that finish line first.
Blow those rear tires off us, bud.
Now is when the future is written. In the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
This is our series. where the stakes are always higher, where virtual meets reality. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, look at my shine with the block. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like Paul. Time's right, and I know the seas walking in a limelight. Promise you won't wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high tide. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you wanna play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Don't step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
The road to $300,000 kicks off the second half of the regular season with the dance with the Lady in Black. We're tonight from iRacing's virtual Darlington Raceway. We say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 8 of the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And happy that you're with us, streaming live at eNASCAR.com as we get set for Throwback Night in 2023. 7 down, 7 to go until we know the grid of 10 that will fight for the championship of this year. And we're happy to have you joined us alongside of the iRacing booth. With Alan Cavada, my name is Evan Pasoko. Alan, thanks for stepping in and joining me upstairs tonight. And I think you couldn't have picked a better week to do so. We talked about it all the time on Countdown to Green, but this is just a fun race, but a pretty pivotal race too, where it falls on the calendar.
Absolutely, and it's fun for so many reasons because of the throwback aspect. We just showed a VHS tape. There are some drivers in the series driving tonight that probably don't even know what a VHS tape is. So we are throwing back with the drivers, with the paint schemes, but it's just such an important track because we see the cream rise to the top at a track like Darlington. And there are plenty of drivers, though, that need that first win here. So the competitiveness will be off the charts tonight at a place like Darlington, where you have to think about the track and the other competitors.
Yeah, the balance of wins will be interesting now with 2 repeat winners. Mike Conti winning just a couple of weeks ago. That takes 1 more spot away from somebody else. So the more repeat winners we have, the more real estate, Alan, going to be available for drivers to maybe points their way in to that top 10 playoff spot.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, is making the playoff in whatever way you can. We obviously know the easiest way to do it is getting the checkered flag, but that's also the hardest way to do it, right? So consistency, also key. This track makes you think about pit strategy. It makes you think about track position and being out front and how to balance those two things. Not easy at a track like Darlington.
It is not. We talked about it on Countdown to Green as well. This is one of 5 tracks that has been on the calendar since the inception of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series every year. And let's go trackside and take a look at your starting grid. We'll go through them 10 at a time. It is the Charlotte Phoenix 48 at Graham Bolin on pole position with the Stewart-Haas Esports 10 of Stephen Wilson alongside in second. Then it is the Joe Gibbs 54 of Daniel Falkenham alongside the William Byron Esports 97 of Matt Busa in the number 4 position. And then Cody Bias for Elliott Sadler Esports will start on the inside of row 3 alongside the second of William Byron Chevrolet, that time the 25 of Nick Ottinger. P7 tonight will be Vicente Salas. He's in the Williams 55 car to his outside. That throwback Tony Kanon 11 driven by Parker White. And round out our top 10 inside of row number 5, it is Dylan Duvall's 41 for Stewart-Haas and the Junior Motorsports number 8 of Michael Conti, Allen.
We'll head to row 6, and Jordy Lopez Jr. is starting on the inside. Meanwhile, Wyatt Tinsley there on the outside of row 6. Row 7, if we want to bring that up, see who. There it is, Caden Honeycutt with Roush Fenwick, Keselowski Racing, and the defending champion Casey Kerwin representing the X set on the outside of row 7. Row 8, Colin Bowden in the E-Racer number 69. On the outside of row 8, Femi Olafotson racing out there on the outside. Row 9, it is the number 51, and on the outside we have Tyler Gary racing for Tony Kanon Esports in the 66. And in row 10, Michael Cozy Jr. and Dylan Alt for Latart Esports Racing in the number 40.
That brings us halfway home. Then Bobby Z has got a bit of work to do. We talked about his 18 and the throwback car for Joe Gibbs. He'll be alongside the Letarte 36 of Brandon McKissick. Row number 12, we'll see the front row number 34 of Alan Bose and the Elliott Sadler Esports number 1 machine of Derek Bordeaux. Continuing on through Kevin King and Garrett Maines side by side for the 88. 12 there in the mix. Timmy Holmes for RFK, Malik Ray 7. There they are on track next to each other. We talked about them in the countdown to green. Behind them, you'll also have rounding out your top 30 cars. 29th is Tucker Minter for Team Dillon Esports, and it is the Jim Beaver 15L tonight of Garrett Lowe.
Tucker Minter, that might be my favorite paint scheme of the night. To row 16, we have Zach Novak for the Rise Esports number 75. On the outside of that row, Ryan Doucette, I believe that's Kansas City Pioneers out there. In row 17, Michael Guest for 2311 Racing, and then E-Racers Colin Keister there in the 42 car representing Wendy's. On the inside of row 18, Corey Vincent, number 2 car. Outside, Keegan Leahy, not the greatest qualifying spot for the former champion and winner of this race. Row 19, Kansas City Pioneers driver Derek Justice, and on the outside, Ryan Luza also representing Team Exet. And row 20, we got Jimmy Mullis for Rise Esports in that beautiful South Carolina themed car rounding out the field.
He's going to have some work to do. It's worth noting those back 7 times either not taken or disallowed in qualifying. The one driver who had it figured out, though, is your pole sitter tonight. Starting up front, the 48 of Graham Bolin. Alan, you've got him on the radio.
Graham, good qualifying lap out there. They always say this race is about track position and racing the racetrack. How tough of a track do you describe this place tonight?
It's really tough. I mean, you just got to focus on getting that rear grip. And just saving your tires. Like, this place eats tires, so you gotta manage your pace very well to make it to a whole fuel stint. But I'm confident with my car. Hopefully we don't give up a lot short run, and then I think we'll be good long run.
All right, good luck to you tonight. Starting in the best position at a track where track position is very good and very important to have. We keep mentioning this is representing South Carolina tonight. We have 2 South Carolina drivers, Malik Ray and Timmy Holmes. Malik, we'll start with you. What does that mean to be racing in your home state, whether it be virtual or not? This is Darlington. This is your home state.
I'm just looking forward to the race. I feel like we have a pretty good car for the long runs, so we're just going to have to see how it plays out.
And you're next to the 88. There's some history there way back when you were a young man, but that 88 car and your number 7 paint scheme, they have some history. You like that?
Yeah, man, I'd hate to have to hook Kevin head on here if I had to, but hopefully, it don't come down to that.
Yeah, you do what you have to. Timmy Holmes, your paint scheme, Brad Keselowski had a great run at Darlington. You're looking good tonight. What do you think about racing in South Carolina?
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I actually got to go to the race this weekend and watch. To see this thing in person and be in it on here is pretty cool, but definitely didn't qualify where I wanted to, so hopefully we're a little bit better out here in the race.
Got a lot of work to do, and your friend Malik is right there in front of you, so you two avoid each other as you make your way through the field and maybe have a 1-2 for South Carolina. We'll see you. Good luck tonight.
All right, thank you, bro.
We talked about the history of this Darlington Raceway. Now let's walk through tonight's race, Alan, as we take a look at our Wendy's race analysis.
Yeah, this is 120 laps, 163.9 miles. Pit road speed, 45 miles per hour. The full pit lane time, we know they'll be on pit lane, 32 to 35 seconds. 3 sets of tires available. How valuable will they be? I'll spoil that one. Very valuable tonight. It just depends on who can hang on to them. And the estimated fuel window between 63 and 67 laps. But will drivers want to get to the end of that fuel window before pitting? That's what we'll have to see if there's some strategy going on in this race, Blake. Evan.
We'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll be keeping an eye on the throwbacks as well. We were looking at some of the historic clips here from prior races at Darlington, and I even need to keep on my toes because it's hard to know who's who. We'll help you out. We'll point out all the fun ones over the course of the night. Of course, you can always scan the QR code at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen to stay up to date with the latest news and updates from around the world of eNASCAR with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. Last year, it was Steven Wilson who got one of his 4 race wins of the year here at Darlington. That was more wins than anybody else in 2022. Pace car bows out of the way. The field in the hands of Graham Boland's number 48 Toyota. It's throwback night at the Lady in Black as we say, let's go racing at Darlington. First time they got to get side by side through 1 and 2 is always a tricky one. Boland clear for the race lead. Your top 3 will single file out, but really everybody, Alan, wants to find a spot ASAP. It's not a track you want to be a couple of rows deep at.
Absolutely not. These corners so narrow that it's tough to go 2, much less 3 wide through this corner. These restarts going to be so tough because you have to be so aggressive if you want that track position early, but that's also the most dangerous position to put yourself in. That's why thinking about Steven Wilson and how he's already in 2nd place. Really quiet year after last year's breakout performance, but he won this race last year and we're kind of quietly, I don't want to say overlooking him, but he's already up there in 2nd, looking to repeat at Darlington once again.
Yeah, it was a good pickup for him to defend on that 97 about Busa, maintain the number 2 spot. And you can look at the battle for 20th. It's right in the hornet's nest and pretty much the worst place to be because they're still side by side as they race off the corner. That's advantage Dylan Alt in a real nice matte black Coke Zero Chevy who got the upper hand over the Serial1.com 38 at Cozy in that battle. And again, those single file out, they get up to the outside wall and they'll try to get ready to make the next move. 120 laps, maybe a pit stop in the middle along the way, but this is a very physical and really demanding mentally racetrack where you got to be on top of it every single time around. As you see the 33 car of Tucker Minter, he's in 28th spot, but in side by side with Kevin King.
If you let your imagination run, that is Harry Gant versus Dale Earnhardt Jr. right there at Darlington. No more of an appropriate place for them to be racing, but look at 33 there get up and try to get his position. Don't want to be stuck on the inside in any of these corners, so trying to get that position, force your way up if you have to. That's important early on in this race.
A bit of a decade or so between those cars as they fight in the 20s. Meanwhile, we check back in closer to the front of the field, and you can see that 97 Matt Busa, race leader, continues to make some headway after passing Graham Boland just 1 lap ago. Boland led the opening 3. Busa made the pass on lap number 4, and the 97 Logitech Chevy doing a good job of putting the gap as he tries to run away with the race lead. More drivers making moves, make it another spot gained for Mike Conti. He'll complete the pass on Parker White. That's +5. He's not done yet as he'll go down to the inside of Wilson, make it 6 spots. The 8 car on a mission early here at Darlington.
Looking very good early. Winner here previously, obviously former champion in his last year. I keep comparing him to Kevin Harvick. They're going out the same way. Not only making news every time they're out there on the track, but going out with performance. Michael Conti has the 2 wins already, and this track is the type of track where the drivers, the cream seems to rise in terms of talent. That's why we're seeing Michael Conti do so well here. And Evan, anytime you can kind of throw back to yourself, you know you've done something right in your career, and that's what Michael Conti's doing in that 8 car.
You know, kidding, and you know that throwback paint scheme for the qualifying challenge as well. Conti, a lot of history here at Darlington. So we said we'd walk you through a lot of these throwback paint schemes tonight, and let's talk about that number 54 machine of Daniel Falkenham, an instantly recognizable newer era, but that's not what he wanted there. It's Kyle Busch into Tony Stewart with a couple of throwback paint schemes. Falkenham, I don't know if that counts as the commentator's curse. We're just trying to talk about that 2013 Kyle Busch throwback on that car. And right as we jump back to it, Alan, a couple of cars got together. I don't know if anybody went all the way around, but certainly a bit of damage on the 54 there as we get the first yellow.
Yeah, quick caution from the officials there, hitting that yellow light. We said it in the Countdown to Green. This race doesn't lend itself to many cautions. It averages about 3 cautions per race, despite being how dangerous and how crazy this race can be. A lot of times those Darlington stripes don't warrant cautions, but we saw it there. We're going to see a replay and see what really was the cause for concern out there between the 54 and Casey Kerwin in the 95.
And if we pull back our perspective, we were looking behind this. It started up the road with that number 41 car of Dylan Duvall. You'll see contact into the corner. He gets loose, gets tagged there, and then the whole corner kind of gets backed up. A touch, a bit of an accordion effect, and then the 95 tries to come up. He can't fit because the 43 machine of Keister, or Fremiolat, I should say, sorry, snuck a nose in there, and they made contact again. Could have been a lot worse, bit of a chain reaction accident. But all things considered, all those race cars still in one piece. A couple of cars will come down to pit road, though Falkingham's got a bit of damage repairs to do on the front nose of that car.
A good early stint for these drivers to get out there, get some of that adrenaline out of the way at a place like Darlington. Again, we can't overstate where people say you race the racetrack and the other drivers. So to be able to take a little bit of a breath after 10 laps is something all these drivers are welcoming right now. Got to give it up to Matt Booser right there, getting out to the lead. Remember, William Byron Esports, it was Willie B himself who got the win at Darlington just a few days ago. So we know the owner of that car is cheering him on.
And let's keep it on going. How about Elton Sawyer 1997? The throwback tonight for the 38 of Michael Cozy Jr. And I know Cozy kind of be rocking that thing every week, but the stash fits well for the 90s. So Cozy looking good in P38. And how about Zach Novak, the number 99 throwback on his 75 this time around? That is a good look into paint scheme as well, throwing it back to the 90s. Jeff Burton, one of those most iconic bright color pop. You'll recognize that one instantly. And is it 90s night here in Darlington?
Hey, it's fun to drive, it's fun to throw back, and to think, people of a certain age, the 90s is pretty throwback. Harrison Burton threw back to his dad and had that paint scheme on Sunday in Darlington. So yeah, you recognize whether you call it pink or purplish. Great looking color tonight for Zach Novak.
He's not the only one throwing it back to some early Jeff Burton cars. We got that on Bowden as well. How about the number 9 throwback for the 27 machine tonight of Cody Bias? Good looking Casey Kane 2006 Dodge.
This one's all about the details. Look at that number 7. It's got the little
font,
E.
right?
Yeah,
the font. I mentioned the number font in Countdown to Green. Fonts are such a huge part of the throwback.
That font representative of Ray Evernham racing back then. That car was so fast, that number 9. Let's see what Cody Bias can do with it tonight. And this has to be one of the winners, right? I mean, Derek Bordeaux in a Kevin Harvick throwback, but one of the better ones with the good wrench scheme, the silver and that reddish pinkish thing with Kevin Harvick going out. There's so many good Kevin Harvick throwbacks. That's a great one.
We took like a 3-second peek at practice on Countdown to Green. This is the first one you saw. It was the 05 Kevin Harvick throwback. It's a good looking ride. Pace car going to be off it in this time. We've got a long way to go still from the track. Too tough to tame. Up front, Busa going to be the control car for the first time tonight as they slow roll off of 4. Green flag back in the air, and it is a great jump for both of those Logitech Chevys. Ottinger will follow through to P2.
Great jump into 1 for that inside lane, sort of a domino effect for anybody caught on the outside, including Michael Conti, who was very strong in that first stint. He's now stuck back there in 4th. He wants to drive his way up to the front, but has some good competition as he dives low coming out of 4, trying to get as many spots as he can early.
Conti's +6, White +2, but if there's movers, there's losers. And Stephen Wilson, defending a race winner in P5, that's still a great running spot just behind this group, but he's down 3 from where he started. Your pole sitter, Graham Bolin, has slid back a little bit. He sits right there in 3rd, as there's a whole lot of blue inside of your top 4. But it is Logitech Chevrolet's 1st and 2nd. Here is your Logitech onboard camera with Busa. So there's a look from the front. Now we take a look just a little bit further on the back. Cody Bias in the 27 car, hot on the heels of Parker White. We talked to Countdown to Green about how good the rookies have been this year. Well, White, the highest running of those rookies right now in position 6, but he's the one under fire as that 27 Bias underneath him as they come off of turn 4.
And just in back of that little pack is the 95 of Casey Kerwin. We just saw him nearly get wrecked. He's running 10th right now, so the champ holding his own here at Darlington. Pretty impressive considering this track, considering how wrong things can go and how quickly. But Casey Kerwin's still up there competing really well.
And trying to keep those Tony Kadon throwbacks straight with one another is this time we're looking at the 66 machine of Tyler Gary in the number 16 spot, up a couple from where his race started. He's behind that 3 of Jordy Lopez, behind Donovan Strauss. Dylan Alt also in line in the battle for 15th spot, and a peek down to the inside there for Strauss. Can't make it stick. And talking about Dylan Alt, I said it's a good looking matte black Coke Zero, and I think that's a nice spin on that throwback paint scheme for him. His number 40 car tonight, harkening back to the 2007 Kyle Petty Coke Zero entry.
Beautiful car there. Loving all these throwbacks. We have Tyler Gary coming up in the 66, who gets to shout out his team owner, Tony Khan, and his open wheel car, that 711 Big Gulp. Love that scheme. Classic colors there. And again, a little extra incentive to win in your owner's car, right, Evan? I mean, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that's a good way to earn a couple extra brownie points as well, right? I feel like I'm at the Brickyard with all of those TK throwbacks. And how about calling it about in 69? I mentioned that it was not only throwing it back to Jeff Burton there for Zach Novak, calling it about, and also instead of picking up the year 1999, he goes for the year 2000. Jeff had a lot of iconic paint schemes year after year. That's another instantly recognizable one.
Hey, could have gone with Landon Castle or Parker Kligerman throwback. Shout out his owners too, but maybe we'll keep that idea for next year.
Favorites have been drawn in the sand, and Colin has made his decision. E-Racer guys have been a ton of fun. Cool that he's got that cool looking paint scheme on the car tonight. And back up to the 17 machine. How about we talked about those throwback Matt Kenseth numbers on his RFK entry tonight, and I'm not sure if he's really driving like Matt Kenseth, throwing the bumper around like that, but Caden Honeycutt trying to make some moves in P12.
Those are 2 old school Roush cars there. Back in the 90s battling. Matt Kenseth and Jeff Burton would have been battling as teammates, so that's pretty fun to see as we watch Casey Kerwin make his way back up through the field after those early incidents. Check out that car on the outside. I believe, is that the Williams paint scheme that we're looking at, Evan? Because anytime you see an F1 car at Darlington, it's pretty sweet.
It is the paint scheme of the night. It was Vicente up there in that 92 Williams F1 throwback. And I don't know if it's the extra horsepower or the downforce on Vicente's car, but he wins out that battle against Tony Stewart. Of course, that throwback paint for the 95 of Kerwin. Still looking good, despite the contact. 95 still looking good. We get a couple more laps of enjoying that beauty on the racetrack, and Casey's, in fact, made up ground since that near incident. He has cracked the top 10, sitting in P10 as we run now inside of 100 laps to go.
And we're seeing this is kind of the single file. We're seeing the race play out as these drivers space themselves out a little bit. Again, we'll always go back to racing the racetrack. Every time they dive into these corners, they want to go low on entry and then kind of swing up toward the wall. That seems to be the fastest way around the track. It's also the most dangerous. So each time these drivers go into the corner, that's what they're thinking about in terms of keeping their car, that right side of their car, keeping it clean, keeping it going as fast as possible, but also getting as close as possible, because that's the best way to do it. The mental aspect of this race is one that we don't see throughout the schedule.
You saw the attempted pass there from Bias as he was putting pressure on Parker White in the battle for P6, unable to get back to the inside, so they'll stay single file for now. They're chasing down Steven Wilson, then Graham Bolin, who's trickled all the way down now to P4. A quick note from Bolin, from the third member of our broadcast team, James Pike, on pit road. Bolin complaining that he's a little bit loose, but he did caution Alan, don't loosen me up too much, because if you get really loose at Darlington, that's terrifying. So he wants it to rotate a bit better, but he wants them to be cautious with any adjustments they make.
And I always love these in-car shots because you always see the concentration of Casey Kerwin and what it takes to do well at a track like Darlington. Beautiful throwback to Tony Stewart. It looks like the championship season. That was a Chevy back then when he was able to win a championship and come in with Stewart Haas Racing. Casey Kerwin, defending champion, picking a champion like Tony Stewart. That seems quite appropriate, working his way back up here into the top 10 after that early incident.
Yeah, pretty fitting. And you talk about champions. Well, Michael Conti, a champion here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, throwing it back to himself. I referenced the history with the 2011 Landon Castle qualifying challenge. Basically, it was get all the fastest sim racers on the service. You get one qualifying lap, and hot lap it, winner takes the championship. And of course that happened here at Darlington more than 12 years ago on the service. So again, Michael's done so many things over the course of his iRacing career, and a unique opportunity at a fitting track as such to throw back to himself and that LCQC paint scheme from 2011. And then the notable one that we talked about during Countdown to Green, the throwback on the 88 of Kevin King, the 2008 Dale Jr. throwback.
Yeah, a great looking car. This was such a big deal back in 2008 because Dale Jr. moved on from the 8 car to a new team at Hendrick Motorsports, had that green, that beautiful pops right off the paint scheme there when you mix it with the white. Great looking scheme. Kevin King representing Junior Motorsports quite well.
Check out this one. How about the Coca-Cola C2 throwback for Jordi Lopez Jr. tonight? That's another good look at a car. Of course, kind of updating things. Original taste Coke on the car tonight. Any red race car adds what? 10, 15 horsepower? Those are the rules. I don't make them up. So Coca-Cola's got a good deal there with those red cars. They always look nice.
Absolutely. They've had a history of good paint schemes, and this one certainly pops off the screen in that number 3 for Jordi Lopez. Our friend Blake picked Mr. Lopez to win tonight, so let's I don't want to root for Blake too much, so I'm wishing Jordi limited success tonight.
Sure, within reason. He's P15. Is that acceptable enough for, I mean, that's good, but he's not going to, catch you in a week with that. So we happy with 15th?
That's okay. That's okay. But I look back to 31st, and my pick, Keegan Leahy, is struggling tonight in 31st. Keegan Leahy, former champion. Casey Kerwin there, former champion. But Keegan having an opposite night of Casey right now.
A long way to go, bit of work to do. 30 down, 90 to go. The next time by is Casey Kerwin makes a pass on Vicente Salas for 9th position, so make it another position gained for Kerwin as he continues to creep his way up and up the scoring pylon as we work deeper and deeper into the opening stint of this race. 1 yellow so far in this one. It was contact back in the teens, right around where the 95 was running. That sent a couple cars down pit road for some minor repairs. Corey Vincent was one of the drivers in, so was Daniel Falkingham under that one and only yellow so far to this point, but getting our sea legs underneath us per se, and this race starting to spread out a little bit. Matt Busa started this race in 4th. He is driven to the lead and has not looked back since. He's a half second over Nick Ottinger here at Darlington.
There's your biggie bag. All that food for $5, nice. That's my go-to.
Ooh, that's my ride or die.
Just like you and me. Bag boys. Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
You can always bet on Biggie. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag.
May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. NASCAR is committed to empowering the AAPI community in the industry and beyond. From Hideo Fukuyama, the first Asian driver to compete in a NASCAR National Series race, to Kyle Larson, the first Asian American to win a NASCAR Cup Series championship. Milestones like these continue to drive our sport's future, and we are proud to celebrate them all year long.
And back live from iRacing's virtual Darlington Raceway, where coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. And by Wendy's. Wendy's Biggie Bag comes with your choice of JBC, double stack, or crispy chicken sandwich, plus 4-piece nugs, junior fries, and a small soft drink. So stop by today and bet on Biggie. And by NASCAR. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and eNASCAR is proud to recognize the accomplishments of past and present icons within the sport. Their contributions of many to the sport should be celebrated as they help fuel NASCAR's past, present, and future. Closing in on the halfway point here at Darlington Raceway, 8th race of this 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series campaign. You're looking at what the 66 car is up to as Tyler Gary in the midfield has his hands full. Derek Bordeaux's one to his inside. Malik Gray, and how about the Wendy's 42 with Colin Keister in the party as well, as the 66 will shake off the one. And a bit of a touch there. A hip check for the one car. Keister takes a shot from Bordeaux, takes it away, and wow, that one's really struggling.
Really struggling. Bobby Zielinski looked like he wanted to take advantage there for a second, but the 33 ends up getting him and getting 2 cars in one corner, so not bad there. Kevin King trying to take advantage as well in that 88 car for Junior Motorsports, but Bobby Zielinski keeps going low. I don't know if he's blocking, trying to get in there, but every position here is so important because it takes a few laps. It takes a lot of setup. It seems like it takes a lot of patience to make any of these passes. So when you get that opportunity, you have to do it. The one going the wrong way right now.
He's got some impatient drivers behind him. The 23, Keegan Leahy, gave him a whale of a shot down the back straightaway, saying, "Get out of my way." That allows Leahy to back up to Brandon McKissick, who's side by side with him as they come off of form. McKissick struggling on the bottom, though. It's going to be tricky to get the run you need off the corner when you're inside in 4 like that, just because things get so bottlenecked with the way corner exit is here. And McKissick's not only going to not pass Leahy, he'll lose an additional spot as Jimmy Mullis's 46 gets on through. So McKissick slips and slides down to P29. Or P30, I should say. You're talking about the throwback for McKissick, the 36 throwing it back, the Goodyear 400, of course, coming off of that race weekend just this past week, and a bit of an inspired paint scheme with some throwback Goodyear branding on his machine tonight.
Yeah, I want to see the blimp. He should.
Is this shot from the blimp?
Yeah, yeah, well, there you go. Or maybe it's a Goodyear blimp flying around there, but that's a good throwback scheme there for especially looking back to the weekend. It was such a good race.
Now that you put it in my head, I want to see a Goodyear blimp throwback. I think that's got to be next, right? We're looking at the 33 car, bright green base, the lightning reflective or a bright color on the numbers. It gets me every time.
Yeah, I would think those lightning bolts offer some more horsepower, more miles per hour. Not tonight so far for Bobby Z.
And there is, again, another look at that 92 Williams F1 throwback, this time on Vicente Salas's car. I mean, I already said it. It's it. I've called it. Can't beat it. Wins tonight. Everybody else, good effort. Thanks for coming out. I'll hand out some honorable mention pins, but that's it.
Such a cool scheme. Nigel Mansell, if I'm not mistaken, maybe world champion, at least that era of that car. So Williams being involved in this sport. We've seen their drivers get to go to the F1 races here in the States. So just such a cool relationship that they're involved here in the Coke Series.
It is, and we pick up some of the action as we race down the front straightaway as side-by-side racing with Timmy Holmes' 6 and the 15 of Garrett Lowe. This one in the 30s, but you wouldn't think so. They're racing like they're battling for the lead. Luza gave a shot to the quarter panel, the 15 there, and clearly it worked because Garrett Lowe missed the exit at turn number 2 by a country mile. He'll lose 3-4 spots, maybe more now, as he's got the number 1 machine of Derek Bordeaux underneath him. Up front, change for the number 2 spot is Graham Bolin sliding in the wrong direction, I should say, as he makes up the spot on Mike Conti. So Mike Conti up 7, continuing his charge through to the front of the field. Steven Wilson here, P5 as well, side by side with Abusa for 4th, and you can give it to him. So Wilson struggled early, slid back, but the defending race winner, Allen, trying to pick things back up here. He's looking good on the long run.
I keep saying the cream rises. Look who is leading. Nick Ottinger, Michael Conti in third, Steven Wilson in fourth. All four here at Darlington. That is not an accident, Evan. The top drivers do well at the toughest tracks, and the toughest track pound for pound, many will tell you, is Darlington. This is not an accident nor a surprise right now.
When we're seeing these cars change, you mentioned tires over the course of a run. I will not repeat Booster's radio transmission, but he is really, really loose. Is one way to translate it. So we talked about some drivers referencing tight conditions. If you're bowling, Busa complaining about loose conditions. The fun thing about this racetrack is, Alan, again, we talked about the unique shape 1 and 2, different than 3 and 4. It's kind of impossible to set this race car up to be great everywhere. So someone's going to have some complaint.
And that's what makes you think about the patience of it all. Who was leading early? Who was pushing it hard? It was Matt Busa. He was out there, out front, burning gas, maybe burning tires. Is that the lesson we're taking away from this now? You push hard early, your tires go away. Will this be a race of skill? And by skill, I mean saving your tires. That used to be such a skill in old school NASCAR racing. At a track like this, being able to manage, conserve, know when to go hard on a track like this may be the key to victory.
It's another look at the 33 machine riding in the midfield right now. Tucker Minter scored in 21st spot and jumping back up to chase down some of the other battles as they come off of turn number 4. Leader of this group is that 3 of Jordy Lopez Jr. You got Vicente Salas, Femi Olot, Wyatt Tinsley, Donovan Strauss. So 2 of those Williams F1 throwbacks. And now look at the contact here. The 33 going to squeeze the 40 car up and into the outside wall. Tucker Minter, aggressive racing there, makes the pass on Dylan Alt.
The track position so important. You have to be aggressive, especially when these corners are so narrow. When the race is so narrow, it seems like only one car should be able to fit. How to take a path to be aggressive. And then when one pass happens, you see other drivers try to be aggressive and get as much as they can, try to follow behind there and making that pass, as we're seeing right here, coming off the corner here. It's so tough to maintain your momentum and make the path while on the inside. Such a precise moves that have to be made.
Side by side all the way down the Boeing to backstretch, and now off into turns 3 and 4 as Femi Olat continues to stay ahead of this. 3 wide down the front straightaway. That's not going to work when they get to turn 1. The 55 says no thanks. Salas lifts. The 51 commits, and Strauss gets the 2 for 1. He'll get ahead of the entire group as we've got action on pit road. Zach Novak down and in. Still 69 laps to go. We looked at the Wendy's race analysis. I think that's maybe outside of the fuel window. We'll see.
But can this mean strategy? Can this mean pitting early to be faster on that new rubber once you get out there on the track? If you play this strategy, Evan, you were banking on cautions later and everyone coming for tires and trying to make up some time now. This does seem early, especially when you're considering the fuel window. We heard that from the pole setter, Graham Boland, saying we want to make this race. You could see the fuel window there, 63 to 67 laps. You want to do as much as you can to make it in that fuel window. Early pitting for Zach Novak there, though.
Hey, there's that second look at your Wendy's race analysis, and Wendy's reminding everybody in Twitch chat, by the way, $3 off orders of $15 or more in the app, or $4 off an in-app delivery order of $20 or more. Again, we appreciate Wendy's and DoorDash hooking us up with our biggie bags, and that could be a great mid-race snack if you need one, or post-race celebration meal if your driver ends up taking this one home, because we're closer and closer to halfway. You're looking at Bias chasing down White. The battle is for 7th and 8th position, I should say, as the number 2 Michigan Corey Vincent going to bow out, enter pit road, smokes him up a little bit. But he should be fine. One thing we didn't touch on in Countdown to Green, Allen, how unique the pit road entry is here, because it's so different to every other racetrack. Not necessarily difficult, because you could back it down and take it easy in 3 and 4, but no one's ever going to do that. You're really pushing it to your own discretion.
No, and you lose a lot of time, and you hear the guys on Sunday say this is one of the more difficult pit roads to enter, as we see the 41 come screeching in there trying to get down to speed. But you saw it. Once we saw one car go in, it opens the window, right? The window, if essentially is dictated by who starts the pitting sequence. And now we're seeing everybody coming in these few laps, but it's all about doing that math, back timing to try to get in that fuel window and seeing if you can make your tires stretch all the way to the checkered flag. Now, this is where the strategy aspect comes in.
More cars come down pit road. We are now under that 67 lap fuel number that we looked at in the Wendy's race analysis. As more entries to pit road this time, Caden Honeycutt comes down. And again, this trickle will quickly turn into a flood of cars headed to pit road here shortly. So far, nobody from the top 5 coming in, but right on cue, Casey Kerwin, P4, cues up on the radio, says that he'll be coming down pit road. So is Casey coming down? Yes, he is. Casey Kerwin first from the top 5, and now you have to think, Alan, the rest of the race leaders need to respond.
That's what seems to, it's action reaction, especially at the front of the field. On the 95, the first to pit, everyone will want to follow him in. Colin Bowden there in the 69 car follows him in as well. We're seeing 3, 4 cars now on pit lane. A lot of cars, including the ones up front. Kevin King in the 88, all coming now with 57 laps to go. And we see our pole setter, Graham Bolin, entering pit road.
So here's the response as Graham Bolin comes down pit road. And now let's see if there's any shakeup in the lead positions as this green flag pit cycle continues through. We're seeing cars about 1.2 to 1.3 seconds slower with their current lap times than what they did at the start of this race when they were on fresh tires, Alan. So obviously you come down pit road now, you get the better tires instantly. You're going to start making up that time as Nate Ottinger assumes the race lead. He comes down this time with Steven Wilson hot on his heels. So you're going to get the fresh tires, make up time, and now we'll see if those drivers who hit pit road first can reap the benefits.
Yeah, different races going on right now, right? You want to get to pit road, you want to have the cleanest stop you can and get back out there and start going fast. The drivers who pitted a lap or 2 early, they want as clean racetrack as possible to use those new tires as effectively as they can. Now is the time to make up all that time. We saw the pit window open early. Michael Conti on the back end of that, really just pitting now. You know, we're talking 5, 6, 7 laps after some of these other drivers. Different strategies going on to see how effective that early pitting was in comparing that to the long pitting of Michael Conti. We'll see how this all plays out in just a few laps.
Almost everyone on pit road now. Conti, White, Mullis, Busa, Falkenham, Maines, Guess. They are all coming down pit road for service. About half still need to, and Jordy Lopez Jr. has assumed the race lead. He'll get a lap led. Tucker Minter takes over the number 2 spot. Michael Conti was up to 3rd, but you'll see that 38 start to drop down the leaderboard. There he goes on the left-hand side of your screen, and there is that purple pit-in indicator. He's joined on pit road by Doucette. So more and more drivers coming to pit road. The first car who pitted a long time ago, I believe, was the Zach Novak entry. He's kind of suffered, or I should say cycled out in the midfield, right? Didn't really suffer too much, but didn't make up a ton of time either. He wasn't battling amongst the leaders. The net leader of those who has pitted is Casey Kerwin right now in 16th spot. So watch for Kerwin's 95. You can see that last pit number, 57 laps. 58 lap for Bolin, lap 59 Frottinger. You'll start to see those drivers who have pitted already start to climb up and up the board. But Kerwin right now, net leader, as we see the 66 in as well.
And that's significant because that would be about a 4-spot jump just on this pit cycle. That is how you win races. That's how you win championships, by earning and really manufacturing track position however you have to get it. Casey Kerwin had an early battle and hit the wall and was nearly taken out, but he's been able to have patience and maintain and get position by position. And the easiest spot to get him during a pit cycle, he's gone from about 4th, and he should cycle out here to the leader.
You're right. He was in 4th position when he decided to come down pit road. He was the first of those top 5 to pit. He pitted 1 lap before Bolin and 2 laps before Nick Ottinger and Steven Wilson did. Again, got that instant benefit of the fresh tires, and that's why he has found himself as the net leader. Tucker Minter, a bit of a wobbly trip down to the pit road. Again, it's these drivers pushing it that makes those pit entries so tight. Many drivers locking it up. It's also kind of a weird way you have to enter, basically go all the way down to the apron in 3 and 4, and then that pit road wall catches up to you pretty quick. You got to be able to make sure that car rotates. Jordy Lopez Jr. has led the last 5. He'll also bow out, come down to pit road. This time through, we're still waiting on Ray, Leahy, Luza, Alt, Lowe's, Holmes to come down pit road, and then this pit cycle's complete.
If you're out there still, you're pretty much committed. I'm thinking of a guy like Keegan Leahy. I mean, why not run it out? You've been running 30th all night. If you run it out as long as possible and catch a caution, the rest of the field will probably come back down pit road. At least that's how it would work on Sundays. I would think all these drivers out here would want another set of fresh rubber. Keegan Leahy, long pitting. Maybe this is the only strategy. Again, when you're running 30th all night, this is the only call for Keegan Leahy. Guys like that, Malik Ray, Ryan Luza, the people who still haven't pitted yet. We were just showing 95 of Casey Kerwin. Here comes Keegan Leahy. I guess he's not listening to my strategy. He's a former champion, Evan, for a reason.
He will bow out, come down to the pit lane after 65 laps, and certainly I think if the yellow times out, assuming you have one right later on in the race, we mentioned earlier, 3 sets of tires available for these drivers. I don't really know if anybody took tires when those 2 cars pitted on the opening yellow of the race. So everybody else has used 1 set of tires through the cycle. They'll have 2 full sets available should a situation present itself later in this race. Look at this battle. It's all around Malik Ray. Cars on fresh tires working around the 7 car who has yet to come down to pit road. It'll get passed up by a lot of cars on Lappy themselves. That group had Honeycutt, Duval, Zelensky, and Bowden in it. You'll see the speed difference there to Matt Busa, who's also going to drive right on by. But the magic number sits at 5. The top 5 have yet to come down pit road. Casey Kerwin still the net leader on this cycle. He's in P6. That puts him about 2 seconds and change ahead of Graham Bolin, who would, in theory, round out to P2.
And maybe it's this top 5 going for the long pit and just hoping for a caution. That's the only way that this works. This strategy works out. But again, if you're not going to win, you got to do whatever you have to try to put yourself in that position and manufacture that track position. This is what's going on right now with the top 5, just trying something different, hoping that they can catch the strategy. This is more of a strategy call. You got to get a little bit of luck in, but if the day isn't going your way, you have to do something like this. On the other end, you had Casey Kerwin that seemed to hit the strategy perfect in terms of running up front and picking the correct lap to pit, and now he cycled himself in front of what were the other leaders. When these top 5 eventually do pit without a caution, they should work out very well for Casey Kerwin.
And you can see the Hornet's Nest at the 7 is still in here as we wait for this pit cycle to continue to run itself through. Malik Ray, Ryan Luza, Dylan Alt, Garrett Lowe, Timmy Holmes still yet to come down pit road. Once they do so, Casey Kerwin primed to cycle to the race lead as he looks for his first laps led of the night. There's 50 laps to go from Darlington Raceway.
I need to try it first.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Makoni.
We now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at McConeySetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
The All-Star Race, where the best of the best return to one of NASCAR's most historic tracks.
North Wilkesboro.
North Carolina, baby. With an uphill backstretch and a downhill front stretch. Anything can happen. Especially with $1 million on the line. What would you do for $1 million? What wouldn't I do? Oh! I'm bringing the 29 back. I'll be ready. I'll be ready. Will you?
The All-Star Race, Sunday on FS1.
Continuing coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. And by Makoni Setup Shop. Makoni Setup Shop is the original iRacing setup shop and is trusted by real-world and virtual professionals to get the job done. Visit MakoniSetupShop.com to see why they are the official setup shop of eNASCAR and choose a subscription to save money. Makoni Setup Shop. Our setups, your victories. 45 laps to go the next time by as Ryan Luza continues to lead this race. Still one of the stalwarts who is yet to come down to the pit lane. 75 laps. I know there was a yellow sprinkled in there, but 75 laps those top four have made it, Alan.
This is intriguing, and in poker you'd use the term pot committed. They're so far past pot committed right now, these top four. You just have to imagine they're running out of, well, finally Timmy Holmes comes in, but these top three now are just going to run it out of gas, right? I mean, is that the strategy? Because the only option is to stay out there and hope you can catch a caution. And we have the 40 coming in now as well. So people are abandoning ship as their maybe gas tank sort of runs out. But Ryan Luza and Malik Ray out there, Dylan Alt finally pulls into the pits. But those first two out front, they're just going to run that tank dry. I mean, it's the only strategy. If it hits right now, if a caution were to come out, they would look like geniuses. But if they run out of gas, Evan, I guess they're going to end up the same spot they would have anyway.
They are all in and doing really what they can. For Ryan and Malik, who started 38th and 28th respectively, not really having the nights they wanted. They figure, why not try something? It's going to be obviously a blow for them. It's going to put them back there in the field once they eventually have to pit. But what this does solve is the question of, everybody who pitted. I thought maybe the first cars, Novak, a little bit shy of the fuel number, right? We were thinking 65 to 67. They pitted with about 70 to go at the start of this run. If you can go 77, I think you're pretty good, right? Again, there was a yellow in there, so I'm sure they saved under that, but I think we have found the limit. Ryan Luza and Malik Ray are in 78 laps on one tank of gas. That doesn't even account. Of course, you had to do how many pace laps, right, at the start. That limits your first run just a little bit. So everybody else, if this race stays green, should be good to go to the end. And what that does mean is it has officially cycled Casey Kerwin to the race lead. He was fourth before the pit cycle began. He was the first car in the top 10 to come down pit road, and he finds himself leading this race at Darlington.
The type of race that champions win. I think I've said that a few times tonight. And look who's out there in the lead. Mr. Patience himself, Casey Kerwin. He methodically, patiently got spot by spot everyone he could on the track, and then gets up to fourth, is able to cycle his way through the pit sequence, comes out with the lead, and now has a pretty substantial and healthy lead as he runs up there near the wall with a lot of clean racetrack ahead of him. Great position to be if you're that 95 car.
And he has, I'm not going to say a comfortable advantage, but at least there's a buffer. It's a half a second gap back to the battle behind Graham Bolin in second, Nick Ottinger in third. There's a visual of it. This time by the line, 0.47 seconds is the difference between them. And then there's the second group, Wilson and Conti, battling for fourth and fifth position. We talk about how fun and how challenging this Darlington Raceway is. Let's take it in from the perspective of the Dylan Alt entry at your Coca-Cola onboard camera. It's a fast-looking 40 car. Should remind you, Dylan was one of the drivers who stayed out all the way to the end of the run, so he's got about 1 million lap fresher tires than the cars that he's racing around, but he is a lap down. One of the drivers that was trying to catch that strategy, and it did not play out. Taking another look here with Kevin King's 88 car down on the inside. Ryan Doucette 77 for the Knights. Good, normal looking branded car for the 77 team, starting to become one of those that you can instantly recognize in the eNASCAR field. And Doucette stays ahead of Kevin King. You got Corey Vincent back there as well as teammate. And the one car taking a look to the inside as Derek Bordeaux wants to make something happen. This is all around P27 or so. And we got more throwbacks to talk about as we get down to the home stretch here. And again, I feel like there's 90 of these cars out there, Alan, but maybe that's just a strategy for the two identical ones. Parker White also rocking that Tony Kanaan throwback.
Yeah, having a great run tonight in the top 10. Again, anytime you could shout out the boss and race for him, Tony Kanaan, just a Hall of Fame racer, open wheel, Indy 500 winner, a beautiful scheme, and just those colors, iconic how they stick out there. And then we have the South Carolina machine, the true South Carolina for Jimmy Mullis. Every different quarter panel, Evan, has a different an homage, if you will, to some of the best South Carolina racers ever. You can see them there: Sam Ard, David Pearson, Cale Yarborough, Bud Moore. Just a very cool concept, especially for a track like Darlington.
Yeah, we've seen that team do special paints all year, and the spirit of South Carolina, as they're calling it, is a really good, unique throwback and an original one as well. And when we talk about throwing it back to yourself, that's Garrett Lowe. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen is Garrett circa 2017. That's a throwback to his Bandolero paint scheme, and that's why it's a 15L tonight.
I love it. My first car was a black Volkswagen Golf, so I could throw back to that someday.
Yeah.
If ever in the series. That'd be fun. I mean,
all black. Did it have any racing stripes on, or are you just going all black?
You know, it had a big dumb decal on it, because that's what you do when you are 16, 17. I put right where you'd have a racing number, I had a big Volkswagen symbol on it. It was pretty fun.
As long as that's on the throwback paint, I think it applies. We'll look for any teams willing to accept that when we come back to Darlington for a 15th straight season here next year. Here's the battle for the race lead. Again, we talk about the advantage up front. Casey Kerwin's gap has closed significantly. It was almost a half second. Now it's a quarter second. And Casey dealing with lap traffic. Malik Ray up the road, the last car on the lead lap at a P37. That's an element to this battle. And so is Ryan Luza, because he is on the move as another lapped car. He made an aggressive move there on Graham Bolin in P2. These lapped cars, whether they want to or not, are going to have to play some sort of a factor in the battle for the race lead here, because they're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, lap cars and try to unlap themselves. That's why they're so much faster. So it'll even out at some point. So right now they're kind of messing with the leaders in passing them, and then once it kind of evens out, these leaders will be passing these lap cars again, so they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So a guy like Casey Kerwin has to worry about the Graham Bolins of the world battling for the lead, but also that lap traffic and unlapped traffic in front of them. And that's a teammate. I don't know how teammate orders play out here, but you think those XSET cars want to work together a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see if they do play nice. And here are the second, I should say, of those throwbacks. Donovan Strauss at number 51, a machine again, that 92 Williams F1 throwback. Donovan Strauss driving, of course, Williams Esports here in the Coke Series. He rides in the number 13 position right now. He's hoping that's a lucky number for him, and he's got a couple of spots to gain with 30 laps to go in this race. And the final throwback to take a look at tonight, and we've seen it out there on track. We've talked about it, but the throwback from the 7 car tonight is the Kyle Busch 2000 and, I should say for the 7 car, it is the Kyle Busch 2008 Richmond race. And we've talked extensively about the history of it. I can say, unless I missed it, Blake, there's been no contact yet between Malik Ray and Kevin King.
No, that'd be very fun and old school if there was, but not happening yet. Malik Ray representing South Carolina, looking for a better night. He went the strategy route, trying to do what he had to do, but now we have an awesome battle for the lead as we look out front, just behind Malik Ray, because these leaders are going to pass him here in a second, putting another lap on him. But they have to worry about keeping the lead while also battling the lap traffic.
Oh, and a caution is out with 28 laps to go. Malik will stay on the lead lap. It is the 43 of Femi Olat into the outside wall. And as the age-old saying goes, this changes everything. Those cars up front thought that it was going to be a four-way battle for the race win, and instead, I'm expecting everybody to be coming down to pit road for fresh tires, and this race just turned from a marathon to a sprint.
Absolutely. Those tires are going to be so valuable. Not even a question about coming in and getting that fresh rubber. So it will be all even from here on out when we take the green once again. But again, another chance for these guys to breathe, kind of take their breath. They've been going since lap 9, 10, flat out here at Darlington. So this should set up with less than 25 laps to go. Almost a shootout at Darlington, double file.
And I wonder if Casey can defend the top spot if this actually ends up being good for him, right? It was very minimal, but 1 to 2 lap older tires and all the cars behind him, they were slowly reeling him in after he made up all that ground. Now an opportunity to get on equal tires with everybody, but he needs to execute, and he's going to be in pit stall number 14. Graham Bolin entering pit road in second, going to have the number 1 pit stall. Let's take a look and see what happened as the 43 car was on the inside of the 17. Again, they were fighting down off into turn number 1. And not quite clear. That looks very familiar. That wasn't a battle for the race lead here tonight, but that kind of contact looked pretty familiar if you were watching the race this weekend.
That had some Chastain Larson vibes.
Here's the view from behind on the Wendy's onboard with Colin Keister, and yeah, commit to the corner, try to get clear, not quite, and 43 is the one who ends up backwards facing the outside wall. We'll race off of pit road, and it is notably not a win off pit road for Casey Kerwin. In fact, he will come off of pit road third of those who pitted. Colin Bowden and Bobby Zelensky, I think, went with a 2-tire call, and they'll be the first cars off pit road in P5 and 6. We also have 4 cars not taking any service. That'll be Derek Justice, Garrett Lowe, Daniel Falkingham, and Malik Ray, who go to the top 4. Justice and Falkingham will bow out this time, but it looks like Lowe and Ray staying put.
This may not be very fun for them, but it's going to be very entertaining for all of us watching, Evan, because tires matter here. With 25 to go, I think that's just way too much time for Garrett and Malik to have any shot being out front. Even those 2-tire calls are pretty interesting with 25 laps to go. Any slight advantage that track position gives you, I'm already questioning. Bobby Zelensky, a former winner here, has gotten it done before, plenty, but it's going to be tough.
Well, let's dial up one of the drivers. Garrett Lowe leads this race now. Garrett, 25 lap old tires, cycling through to the race lead. What's the move for the big green egg Ford here?
Dude, I have no clue. We're just here. I don't know. Just somehow we're leading this thing. I'm not sure what's going on.
We started this one back in 30th, so even if it's not going to be hanging on to the top spot, try to get some track position here, get a good finish. What is going to be a key, though, on the older tires to try to maintain some track position, because we know it's going to get crazy?
Just try not to get wrecked. That's about the end of it, I think.
We'll be watching. I wish you the best of luck, Garrett.
Thanks.
Your race leader started 30th. Garrett Lowe, right now, your biggest mover, plus 29. That's courtesy of staying out, Alan. It is worth noting, and the race leaders were on 37 lap old tires, 38 lap old tires. Garrett's are 26 laps old. Malik's are 18. I know that's better, but I still don't think really good. I think it's still going to be a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely going to be a challenge. That's how much tires matter here. That even a matter of 10, 12 laps will make a difference. Maybe not the first lap, but certainly as this plays out. If there's 5, 7 laps to go, sure, maybe you pick something up. But 24 laps, that advantage, that any perceived advantage that has, I think will be eaten up very quickly, especially when you have a bunch of hungry drivers on a short stint. It's going to be very tough for those first, say, 4 cars there. Maybe Bobby can steal it. Colin Bowden, we've seen him be up front before. Those 2 tires, I just think the advantage, it's going to turn into a disadvantage quickly.
Second yellow of the night going to fall behind us. What do the following 23 laps look like? It's the old tires for Lowe and Ray on row 1. 2 tires for Bowden, Zelensky on row 2, and 4 tires for Casey Kerwin on back. Green flag in the air. So Garrett Lowe gets off fine. Malik Ray still P2. The fight behind for third. The car's on 2 tires. Bowden to the inside of Zelensky, but Graham Bolin trying to push the 18 through. He's got 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles and wants to get a move on, but stuck on the outside. Can't go anywhere right now.
Hard to make up any ground. You have some cars that are slower than others because of the tire situation. You have to preach patience here. That's why I'm looking at the 95 of Casey Kerwin, see what he can do. Back here in the field, Steven Wilson trying to find a spot in line after being so strong throughout the night. Again, if they can just stick with, get these few laps out of the way, I think we'll see the faster cars, the newer tires really show themselves. You just have to have patience in these first early laps.
Bolin was able to get by on the high side. The 95 of Kerwin followed him, so they've been able to make a couple of the moves. And now Bobby Zelensky up to the number 2 spot. He was able to get by no problem. It's the catch-up game for Bolin, for Ottinger and company, as they all now set their sights on Malik Ray. Caution behind, 3rd yellow of the night. They scatter off of turn number 2. I don't see any cars pointed the wrong way, but could it be a situation like the first yellow of the night where a couple cars get together, it chucks everybody up, but it is a caution flag. Something happened in turn 2.
Possibly a domino effect. We'll check it out here, but this is a positive for Malik Ray. The more cautions we have, the better these cars with the older tires will fare, I believe. They just have to see how this plays out, but that was a good restart, getting as much real estate in between you and the rest of the field as you can before that advantage of newer tires really kicks in.
It was interesting. It was Malik who was able to get around low for the race lead. Again, his tires a little bit better than Garrett's, so maybe not necessarily a shock, but the drivers on the fresh tires have gotten to him. Zelensky on 2 fresh tires up to 2nd. Bolin on 4 fresh tires is up to 3rd. Let's wind it back. We'll take 2 looks at this one. You're looking for the 17 car of Caden Honeycutt. Maybe checks up a bit for the 27, and a little bit of help. Looked like he saw something brewing up the road that he didn't like, and when he lifted a little bit, it was a big run for Colin Keister. Keister got into him. That's where the touch was that started it. Now let's see what happened with the 55. Ooh, even more checking up. He gets hit by Kevin King. So kind of similar to the first yellow of the night. Certainly some contact, couple of cars sideways, pick up a stripe here or there, but I don't think anyone's going on the hook for that one.
No, just wrong place, wrong time as everyone checks up around you, and you've got nowhere to go when you're on that high side. That's something to think about on these restarts. Again, I reference back to Sundays. That's the world I come from, Evan. But there was a lot of question about where you want to be on the outside or the inside. Let's talk to our leader, Malik Ray, who is on older tires, representing South Carolina. Malik, what an up and down race it's been already, and you find yourself in the lead with 19 to go. Tires that are 17 laps older, but you still have the lead. How are you feeling right now?
I feel like I can hold to a top 10. I don't know if I can, hold off everybody for the win, but if we keep getting yellows, I mean, we'll see. But I feel pretty confident right now, because I was running like 39th, so anything's better than 39th.
Is it hard to look out the front of the windshield, or are you looking in the rearview mirror?
Nah, man, I'm looking out front. I already know that they're going to be faster than me, so, it is what it is at this point.
Malik, represent the Palmetto State. Go get that checkered flag.
All right, thank you, man.
Malik Ray is known for pulling this strategy card once or twice. I can think back to a couple of examples where he's been the first guy to say, I'll do it. Malik's never afraid of trying to make that move. And again, started in 28th. If he can finish higher than 28th, even if it's not the race win, might be a win for the strategy. Again, there's a couple of different strategies in play, so just want to remind everybody what the situation is. Malik Ray stayed out. He's on 24-lap old tires. He will be the control car, and will be on the inside of the front row. Bobby Zelensky did pit on the yellow cycles ago. That was 8 laps total ago, but he only took 2 tires. Behind him, 4 tires for Bolin, Kerwin, Lowe, Ottinger, Conti, and company. So we got no tires, 2 tires, and 4. Battle for the race lead will bring us to 17 laps to go. This time by pace car off. The 7 decides when to be Bobak green as he heads to the restart zone. He'll hold, then fire. Green flag in the air. It's a good jump.
Great jump for Malik Ray, and this is what he has to do. He did it last time, proven to be a great restarter here. Just get as much real estate as you can in between all those cars with the newer tires behind you. Maybe hope for a caution, see what he can do. It's all going to plan right now as we see some jostling back in the field.
Side by side back of the field and side by side for the race lead. Here comes Bobby Zelensky to the inside of Malik Ray. They touch in turn number 4, but the 7's got that preferred outer lane. He'll get the run down the front stretch. Kerwin goes high. He'll push the 7 into the corner. Now it's Kerwin and Zelensky. They'll touch side by side for second. Brief top opportunity for the 7 car to get away, and it's a pass for P2 for Casey Kerwin.
And this is the
Bolin
battle
gets a
here.
bit of the wall back there in 2. Everybody in the top 5 mixing it up, but Zelensky went for the lead. He couldn't do it, and Kerwin with the 4 freshies top side. He'll go to second. Now he'll try to set up the 7 car and make a move.
Patience, patience, patience. That's all he needs for Casey Kerwin. Has 4 brand new tires versus the older ones of Malik Ray with 15 laps to go. It seems like the 95 in position here, picking them off one at a time. But this is the difference between older tires, 2 tires, and 4. We have some action back there with Kevin King swinging back up across the track, not hitting anybody. Ill-advised move there.
3 wide in traffic, and now 2 wide in the battle for the race lead. Kerwin gonna get underneath the 7 of Malik Ray. It's a move to 3rd for Nick Ottinger, but off of 2, he is clear. And back to the race lead goes Casey Kerwin. Ottinger to the inside of Malik Ray. He needs to make quick work before the 95 car scoots off with this. And a man is Malik Ray just holding his ground, and he's holding up Nick Ottinger. It is allowing Casey Kerwin to run away with the race lead.
The advantage of 4 tires. Malik Ray really holding his own. I mean, to be where he is after this many laps on those older tires and still be out running the field for second place right now, it's helping Casey Kerwin for sure, but it's really helping Malik Ray pay off a strategy that could have ruined his day, but the strategy call is paying off. That strategy, that's not luck. I give it to Malik Ray for what he's doing out there right now.
He's out there for himself, trying to get a top 5 finish into the outside wall that time, though, as Nick Ottinger was giving him less and less space with each passing lap. The frustration builds for Ottinger, who's got 4 fresh tires, but it took him 3 laps to dispose of Malik Ray, and it has allowed Casey Kerwin a 1.1 second advantage for the top spot. So Ottinger through to second. Michael Conti follows him through. He'll take 3rd, and that slides Malik Ray back to P4.
And with just 11 laps to go, a 1 second lead, that's about as big as we've seen for Casey Kerwin tonight. Really anybody out there through the field. So Casey Kerwin's race to lose right now, as there's plenty of action going on further back in the field as the different tires, different strategies really play themselves out as this race closes.
10 laps to go from Darlington. What is still left? Jordy Lopez trying to fight with both the 10 and the 97 there. The 97 machine of Atbusa completes the pass on him. Jordy going to go a defensive line. We step back to the 46 car. Jimmy Mullis, he's 15th alongside the number 34 of Alan Bose. Behind them, the 17 of Caden Honeycutt on the inside of the 41 of Dylan Duval. Duval wins that battle for 18th.
Three-wide battle here, going into 3. Ooh, little wiggle there for the 45. But we look at there up front, I'm looking at the times. Nick Ottinger closing just a little bit. It was closer to a second, now 3/4 of a second.
He's casting his line, trying to reel him in the battle for the race lead. Last lap, about a 1/10 of a second better on Nick Ottinger was over Casey Kerwin. Midfield action continues down the Bowie to backstretch. That's the 40 car down on the inside as Dylan Alt trying to climb back into the top 20 in this race. He's ahead of the battle between Tyler Gary and Kevin King. Here's the battle for 5th on the back. Bobby Zelensky under fire as here comes Colin Bowden. Maines gave him a shot. Busa, Minter, Wilson, your defending race winner. Oh, watch on as that's about 13 cars within a second of each other, and the 69 got loose off of 2.
Yeah, the 69, and remember the 18 both took those 2 tires. We're seeing the effect of that now as these laps go on. I think they wanted to see more cautions, but as the laps wind down, the effects of having 2 tires versus 4 really showing itself. But that was the call that had to be made if they wanted to have any shot at winning. Put them in good position. They just have to maintain for 6 more laps.
Look at all of the contact. 46 into the outside wall. It's Keister who gives way and allows Mullis an opportunity to save that race car, but patience is thin. Drivers trying to jump on any opportunity they can to get a late race pass, get 1 or 2 more spots here at Darlington. Going to be 5 laps left to go this time by. The 34 car of Bose slides up. He's clear of Strauss. That battle for 14th. Look how tightly packed together, though, these cars are. They're single file, but there's no more than about a half a car length in between any of them that they're all under fire.
And I love that tracking shot from behind where you could see just how loose some of them were, and the slightest little wiggle coming off the corner allows another driver to get position and get those important spots. As we look back out front, 5 to go, the gap shorter than we've seen this entire run, less than half a second for Nick Ottinger. Is there enough time for him to run down leader Casey Kerwin?
Nick Ottinger looking for career win number 20 in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. His challenger right now, your race leader, Casey Kerwin in the 95, played the green flag pit cycle perfect, which allowed him to cycle through to the race lead, and then on a yellow, went for the 4 tires, took his time, fought through to the race lead. He was as far as a second out in front, but it's less than 4/10 right now between your race leaders.
Closer and closer, reeling him in. This is the type of racing Darlington produces. Did the 95 push it too hard, too fast? Are the tires of Ottinger better than what Casey Kerwin has right now? Is this strategy? Is it the Casey Kerwin trying to hold just a little bit back for this final 2 laps? It's closer than ever.
And it almost looked like Casey was taking the hand off the shifter in 4 there and shifting like we saw Mike Conti do in that demo lap from countdown to green. Casey Kerwin, you can see, trying to snake it down. There's the downshift. 5th to 4th gear. Slower corner in 3 and 4. They're going to be looking for the white flag this time by. Nick Ottinger's close, but he's going to need something extra. White flag in the air. This race is official. Clean racetrack up the road. Nick Ottinger has been the better car for the last 7 laps consecutively, but his fight right now is against the scoring to pile on because he's gonna run short on time. Casey Kerwin, a race winner from 2 races ago at Talladega, gonna get his 2nd win of 2023. Casey Kerwin wins at Darlington.
The cream rises, champions win at Darlington once again. We've seen it happen now with Casey Kerwin, the defending champ, and now winner at Darlington.
Defending champ, Darlington winner, and the 3rd multi-race winner of the season. And how about the celebration in 3 and 4? It was no more than a year or 2 ago when we were talking about historic numbers of first-time winners in this series. How many different drivers could win to get in? That's not the story of this season. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, Allen. And instead of counting up all the different race winners, we're counting up the repeat winners. Big statements in the last month by first Bobby Zelensky, then Michael Conti, and now Casey Kerwin. They've all got 2. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola move of the race. I talked about the ability to make the right strategy call, to cycle through to the race lead, to go for the 4-tire decision, and then it was the move with patience. He had to be aggressive, Bit of a touch there to the 7 Malik Ray, who was on the older tires, had a bit of a push from behind, and the 7 didn't make it easy for him. And the 95 also raced clean, and it was this battle and that pass right there in turn 2 that won Casey Kerwin this race, and it's another race win added to his belt, the 5th of his eNASCAR career. And as his celebration continues, Alan, let's go trackside. Talk to your Darlington race winner. It's Casey Kerwin.
Defending series champion Casey Kerwin adds Darlington to his trophy case. Casey, how much did patience play into tonight's victory?
Definitely a lot, especially I think everyone saw the first caution there. I thought we were going to be in trouble. The car wasn't that badly damaged, but with how bad the tires, we slid them in that wreck. I was kind of scared on that long run, but we still had really good speed. And kind of having a win in the bag, I figured we kind of go for it. I felt like we had long run over the Conti guys like Nick and Conti and Busa and them. Me and Graham were pretty even, so I just tried to get ahead and see if it played out. It was going to be really close to the end with Graham and them. I think we were just starting to kind of even out, but it was really tricky with Malik trying to save tires to do his strat there that they did at the end. And yeah, it was crazy. And then obviously we came down pit road, tried to loosen this thing up as much as we could without being too much to try and hold off Nick and those guys. And I was starting to hang on for dear life there the last few laps. So it's just enough. And yeah, we won at Darlington. It's crazy.
It's crazy to get in a great place to win. I don't want to undervalue the pit call and when you decide to pit and how you cycle out to the front. How much of a team decision is that?
Yeah, big time team decision. We kind of played around with it last night, and just clean air means so much. And especially for us having the long run advantage, I felt like if I could get in front of those guys and take care of it, we could maybe prevail with the clean air. And like I said, it was going to be really close if it stayed green, but yeah, I don't know if thankfully we got a yellow. I'm not too sure, but thankfully it all worked out. We got kind of lucky with how just being able to line up 4th there on the top and getting around Graham. So yeah, crazy race. It's an honor to win it in a Tony Stewart throwback. Tony was my childhood hero growing up, and to run his throwback to his championship year.
Well, strategy gets you the win, and skill gets you the checkered flag as well. Let's go to Michael Conti now. Another great run for Michael Conti, coming home 3rd. You had the 4 tires. You had everything you needed. What more, though, did you need to get those final 2 spots?
Clean air, track position. Yeah, just hard to pass tonight. Casey was really fast at the end. Nick was on a very similar car to me. So, super equal there, but really fun race. Good job by everybody. Yeah, the WR1 car is really fast, so just keeping that momentum rolling, and it's been a really good year so far.
Is it fun to throw back to yourself? You had a great paint scheme tonight.
I had to ask if that was appropriate because I know there's some differing feelings on that, but people are like, hey, it's your last year, so if you don't do it, you'll never be able to do it. So, yeah, it was super cool. Like, I ran that scheme a long time ago at this track, hauling ass, trying to win 10 grand, so kind of full circle moment here tonight for me.
I keep comparing you to Kevin Harvick. You're going out just like him on top with some great strong runs. Top 3 tonight at Darlington. Good job, Michael.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I got it on.
And let's go to Nick Ottinger, who was trying to chase down Casey Kerwin. You were even in terms of tires. There was some laps there left. Nick, what more could you have done, or are you thinking about now and trying to chase down that 95?
I could have navigated the positions a little bit better, 2nd through 4th. I think I made contact with Graham, and that was my fault. I apologize. I was pretty squirrely down there and not trying to get pinched off on the bottom. So if I made contact with him, sorry to the 48 team. Secondly, just needed to get around to 7 a lot quicker. Casey was able to get by him when I was just stuck by him, side by side for 2 laps. So that hurt me a little bit more than I wanted to. Used a little bit more tires trying to get by him, and end of the day, it's the 2nd place again for our Logitech G machine. But we're getting closer. Still some stuff to iron out, but our team's pretty damn good.
Yeah, pretty damn good. Former winner at Darlington, 2nd place tonight, Nick Ottinger. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
That was our top 3 tonight. Casey Kerwin, Nick Ottinger, Michael Conti. Heck of a race, Evan. It came down to some strategy and a late green flag run that really had everyone guessing.
It had a little bit of everything, as you mentioned, and it is an old bow tie. Top 3, Graham Boland comes home at 4th as the highest finishing Toyota. Malik Ray That's a win on that strategy call. Stays out top 5. 40 laps before we were talking about him getting lapped on the old strategy, unlapping himself. What a bounce back for him. You take a look, Jordy Lopez Jr. finished 10th. He led a couple laps tonight. Could have been better for him. Jimmy Mullis up 24 spots in 15th. That's a good bounce back and good finish, I think, for the 46.
Absolutely. And you think about, Steven Wilson, he was running higher up and comes home 11th. Colin Bowden on those 2 times in 13th. And you go back a little further. Not what I expected from Keegan Leahy. Obviously, he was my win pick tonight, or win to do significantly better than 25th, especially as a former winner. Just never came through. Long pitted there, trying to go for something. Never came through for Keegan Leahy.
So that pick was about as cold as Nova Scotia is in about December. But listen, I appreciated the pick. It is a tough break for Keegan, though, and an equally rough night for guys like Dylan Duval, Daniel Funk, and Evan Vicente Salas. They all started this race in the top 10, 37th, 38th, and 39th before this one is said and done. So that is a tough break for those drivers, and they'll look to bounce back when we go back racing in 2 weeks' time. Now, I call this part of the season the comfort food part, because you talk about the 5 tracks that we've raced at every single year. Well, we're hitting them all in about 2 months. We've been to Richmond, we've been to Dega, we've been to Vegas and Darlington. Now it's time for Charlotte Motor Speedway in 2 weeks' time for the 9th race on the season.
If you've ever heard of a cookie cutter track, well, this is the original cookie, the one that started it all. Charlotte Motor Speedway, that D-shaped oval, the best of the best. Love to win at Charlotte. It's going to be fun. Right up the street for me, Devin.
Nice local one for you. And we're going to be back at it, of course, for that one in 2 weeks' time. But until then, that does it for us here tonight from Darlington. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing, Coca-Cola, NASCAR, for everybody behind the scenes making this broadcast possible, and for your broadcast team tonight. For Camille Salazar-Hadaway joining us on Countdown to Green, for James Pike on Pit Road, for Alan Cavana, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Casey Kerwin. He's a multi-time race winner in 2023. The season rolls on in 2 weeks' time. That one is on Tuesday, May the 30th, from iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found exclusively here on the iRacing Esports Network. Till next time, good night from Darlington.